Hey everybody, welcome to the REPS program, the Real Estate Profit System. We're going to be talking on this segment 1 today. We're going to be talking about wholesaling. Glad you're here. Make sure you take a lot of notes. We're going to go fast. We're going to have a lot to cover, but we're also going to give you some action steps to do after every single kind of little thing that we learn. Remember, this is interactive training. My goal is to get you to learn something, then go do. Learn something, then go do. That's the only way to really imprint it into your mind. That's how when I read a book, I read a chapter, then I go take action on what I learn, and it really helps me absorb everything that I'm learning. So, don't just breeze through this thing and just skip every exercise. Really take a minute and go do the stuff you're learning. You really want to go through and do these steps so that you can build your business while you're learning how to do all this stuff. If you're brand new, especially because this stuff is all new to you. So anyway, I want to jump into it. If you watch the foundational fundamental course, I know it was long, but there was a lot of information, but that'll build that foundation for you to be ready for everything else that we're going to learn from here. So, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about wholesaling first, and we're going to start with buyers. Now, if you went through the foundational course, I talked a little bit about the basics behind buyers, so I won't get too basic again. But I do want to start out by saying, okay, so buyers, when we're wholesaling, the best way to build your wholesaling business fast is to find the people that are paying cash for properties already or that want to pay cash for properties. So, we want to be able to put a house under contract. We know it's a killer deal. We're going to be learning about that a little bit later. But the minute we put it under contract, that clock starts ticking. I'm teaching you guys how to put a 14-day inspection into your contract. So that gives you 14 days to find another buyer and wholesale this deal off. So because everything starts to move fast after you put this house under contract, it's best to have the buyers in place already. And notice how I said buyers. We want more than one person that wants these deals. The bigger your buyers list, the faster you're going to sell that property. And remember, the bigger your buyers list, the more you're going to be able to sell this property for. Imagine you have a property under contract and you have one buyer and you're trying to get, for easy numbers, you're trying to get $100,000 for that deal, and that buyer says, no, I'll give you 90. Well, if you don't have any other buyers to go back and say, hey, I've got this deal, somebody's offered me, 90,000, and I'm want 100,000. Here's the deal. Would you take it at 100? You don't have that ability if you only have one buyer on your buyers list. So, with the techniques that we're going to be showing you, you're going to be able to put a lot of buyers on your buyers list very, very quickly. Keep in mind, right now we're in an up market. We're moving steadily up, and what that means is, in terms of buyers, is with an up market, you have a lot more buyers out in the world of real estate. There's a lot of people that want good killer deals right now. In a down market, like we were in a few years ago, that there's a lot more deals available back then. There's fewer buyers that want those deals. And right now it's easy to find buyers. When you're in a down market, it's easy to find deals. So there's always going to be some trade-off there. So keep that in mind. Right now, to build your buyers list to 100 to 200 people is something that you can do in a couple of weeks. So I want you to make sure you find your buyers first. So that's why we want to do that. Now let's jump into this. So what's some of the techniques that we use to build our buyers list? Well, I'm going back to the old standby. We learned in the foundational course that bandit signs. I teach that in the foundational course to use bandit signs to find buyers. We put in the 3/1 ranch. We pick a price that if you don't have a house, if you have a house, it's obviously you just put the price in you're trying to sell it for. But if you don't have a house yet and you're just using this technique as kind of a ghost way to build your buyers list, you'll put in a price a little bit lower than the foreclosures in the area, owner desperate, your phone number, fixer upper. I always put cash in there, and you'll get hundreds, literally, of phone calls if you put out following the bandit sign methods that we taught in the foundational course and putting them up in busy intersections. You'll literally get 100+ phone calls every time you put these signs out. So I put this technique in the foundational course because it's foundational. You don't go to the next technique that I'm going to teach you to build your buyer's list until you're doing bandit signs. Again, just for a quick review, if you're going to do bandit signs, or when you do bandit signs, it's just real simple, 3-1 ranch. You're just describing the house. If you've actually got a real house that you're trying to wholesale, this is one of the fastest ways to get rid of it. Put in a description. If it's a 2-bedroom, put that in. If it's 2-bedroom, 2-bath, put 2/2. If it's a bungalow, put bungalow. But 3-1 ranch, $35,000, fixer-upper. I'll usually put cash over here and then your phone number, okay? That's just the simplest way to wholesale a deal if you get one under contract. And if you don't have one under contract and you're just trying to build your list, you're just doing this to generate phone calls and then filling out the buyer interview sheet like we covered in the foundational course. So this is step number 1. I can't tell you enough. I always say this. I've been teaching bandit signs for a long time because they flat out work. In every scenario they work, especially when you're talking about finding buyers. So you don't go to step number 2 until you're already doing this. So hopefully I got that point across. But let's go to the next technique. So one other thing we love to do is what is called the 90-day cash solds. Okay? What that means is we've looked at historically when you're looking at buying, selling houses, you want to find the people that are already buying those houses. Okay? And what happens is in the world of real estate, especially with somebody with cash, they're usually, a cash buyer is usually not a one-off buyer. They don't just buy one and call it a day. A lot of times they're buying multiple properties. And in some cases they're buying dozens per month, like in my case, or in some cases they're buying 2, 3 a month, 1 a month, whatever it is. But all we know is that if you pull this cash solds list, then you will find other cash buyers, and you want to reach out to those cash buyers and let them know that you find deals or that you have a deal for sale. So what you're going to do is this is where you're going to use your realtor. Now, we taught you in the foundational course how to find a realtor. You guys all did that step. So now you've got a realtor on your team. You're literally calling up your realtor and you're saying, hey, I want to pull all of the solds that have sold for cash. Anything that's sold for cash in this zip code, just use whatever city you're investing in this zip code in the last 90 days. It's a very simple thing that the real estate agent can do. It takes very little time. They have access to the MLS. They click a few buttons and they have the cash solds list, okay? So then they're going to send that list to you. So now what you have is a bunch of MLS sheets that are now sold and closed. So you're taking those MLS sheets and you're looking up in some parts of the country. Just remember, the MLS is a little bit different in every part of the country. In every, even in a state, they have different regions where the MLS changes a little bit. So what you're doing is you're taking that information you've got. Now think about it. You've got these MLS sheets. It has all the details from when that house was listed. It's the actual listing of the property back when it was listed on the market. Now it's just sold. So you know that the person paid cash. You know exactly how much they paid for the property because it shows right on the sheet. You know how many bedrooms the house has. You know the address of the property. You can even click through the pictures and look to see what it looked like, if it was in good condition, bad condition. So what you're finding out is you're finding out what that buyer wanted to buy. Now, you've got to see if that person paid cash and then moved into the house, which we're not looking for. We're looking for cash buyers that buy investment properties. They're either going to flip the house or they're going to rent the house, whatever. So they're not living in the property. So then what you're going to do is you're going to go online to the county courthouse website in that county, and you're going to look under the assessor's page, and you're going to look up that address, and you're going to see which, if that property if it has the same address of where they send the tax bill, or the address of the property. If those two things are the same, so there will be two addresses on every assessor site. The tax bill address where they send the tax bill and the actual property address itself. If those two addresses are different, that's a non-owner occupied property. That's an investment property. So we want to focus on calling those actual people to see if they're looking for more properties. So that's the whole process. I've got a video I'm going to refer to in a minute that you guys are going to be able to go and watch that whole process, because there are a few different steps. I'm even going to have a video that you guys can click on for actually using the MLS, just in case your agent that you've that now that you have on your team, in case they don't know the process. We've created a video for you to watch to even help send to your agent, and that'll give them some help as well. One quick note, because the MLS is a little different in every area, they won't follow the exact same steps. But one little trick is any agent in the country, if they have access to the MLS, they have the ability to call an MLS helpline. And all they have to do is call the helpline and say, hey, I want to pull the cash solds for the last 90 days in this zip code. And somebody on the other end of the phone, the tech person, will actually walk them through it. So don't ever let your agent say, you can't do that here. I know for sure that you can. So this is something that they know they will be able to figure out how to do if they don't already know. So then what you're doing is you're sending them a letter or making a phone call to this buyer. Again, you have the assessor site's not going to give you their phone number. It's going to give you their mailing address, the same address the tax bill gets mailed to. So you're going to send them a letter, and I've got below I've got an actual sample that you're going to use. But the letter is basically, the basic gist of the letter is, and this is the same when you're talking, it's kind of a script at the same time. You're basically saying, hi, I'm an investor in the local area. I saw you bought the property at 123 Main Street. I use creative marketing techniques to find deals nobody else can find. I noticed you bought that property. I have other properties like it. If you're interested in talking about that property or an additional property to buy, here's my phone number. Here's my email. Get in touch with me. That's the basic gist of the letter. Super simple. And to the point. If you can call the person, you're a lot better off. It's a little bit harder sometimes to find, somebody's phone number because it's not listed. You can do it. We use a couple of different services. You can go to White Pages, look the person up, and see if their phone number comes up. Sometimes people have landlines still, believe it or not, and their number will come up on some of the, seems like some of the older investors. Otherwise, you can use other search tools. Spokeo.com is another one that we've used in the past that works really well to help find phone numbers. And you can just Google somebody's name and company name because you're going to have that information from the actual county assessor site. That will sometimes pull it. If you're creative enough, you will find these phone numbers. I have people that will get my cell phone number all the time when they look up a property I've bought. So I know I always ask them, hey, how'd you get my number? And they say, well, you bought this property. I Googled it, and they always seem to find it. So it's not that hard. Technology is pretty amazing these days, so you can pretty much figure out anything. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to watch the video on how this works and how it's done step by step, and then I want you to look at the documents I have below as well and follow this step. And I want you to actually, for fun, I want you to take a couple of get a hold of your real estate agent. You've got that agent now. And actually call your agent and have her or him send you the 90-day cash solds in the market the zip code or the city that you want to do deals. So push pause, watch the video, and do that action step now, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, guys, watch this video, and then it's time for an action step, and I'll be back as soon as the video is done.
This is a video on how to pull the 90-day cash sold list from the MLS. First, you're going to need MLS access. So if you don't have it, get with a realtor and ask them to pull this for you. You can walk them through it step by step using this video. Once you're logged in, go to the search box and click residential. You're going to want to customize the fields so that you can pull the cash sold. So in the find box, type in house sold and add that over here to the selected fields. Click apply, and then in your status box, you only want the properties that have sold. So go ahead and take off all of the active properties and add the sold properties. Then it will allow you to enter a close date. So we want to go back 90 days. So I'm going to type in my dates, and you can input any dates that you want. So if you want to go back further, you can do that as well. Okay, and then here you can type in your city name. And then if you scroll to the very bottom, that box that we customized earlier is going to be down here. So if you click that, it'll allow you to choose how the person purchased the property. And we want to select cash. Go ahead and save. And you're more than welcome to select some of this other data as well. But to pull a general cash sold list, that is the main information that you need. So after you're finished putting in that information, you can come over here to the criteria summary. And then you can see your count up here in this box. And what we want to do next is click the search box. Now this is going to pull up all of the properties that have sold for cash in the last 90 days. So we have a few options here. We can export it to a spreadsheet by clicking Export to CSV. And if you do that, this is what it will look like. Or you can choose to email this, and it will email you each MLS sheet for each property. That way you can click through the pictures and you can see more detailed information about the property. So to do that, all you have to do is check all of the boxes and click email. So over here where it has select listings, just make sure all selected listings are applied. Click Agent Full View. That'll give you access to all of the information on the MLS for that specific property. Click Add, and then the next thing you want to do is click Email. So to email this to yourself, you'll enter your email address here. You can change the subject if you'd like to. And then so let's go ahead. And click Send. Now once you do that, this is what the email will look like once it comes to you. And if you click that link, it will bring you to this page right here where you can go through each property that is sold for cash in the last 90 days. And that's pretty much it. That is how to pull a 90-day cash sold from the MLS.
Okay, so welcome back. So you've got your 90-day cash sold. You've got some buyers there. You've done your homework, I know. So the next thing I want to teach you guys in order to find buyers is using Craigslist. I still use Craigslist even now, years into it. It still works. It's a great tool to sell properties. So if you get a house under contract, you don't have to necessarily use a ghost ad. So if you put a house under contract that's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 2-story home, whatever it is, you can put that property up while it's under contract. You can put that property up on Craigslist, mark it up your wholesale fee, and I've actually got a Craigslist ad below that you can click on to use as an example Craigslist ad for a ghost ad. I've also got one below that you can use for a live ad, so you can use that as an example. Now, once you have this, if you have the live property under contract, one thing to note and one thing to kind of be aware of, on occasion, it doesn't happen all the time, but on occasion, what happens is the owner might be searching for houses on Craigslist. You've got it under contract, okay? But then he sees, you put it under contract for $50,000 and he sees it on Craigslist for $60,000. It's happened to me one time. I know it's happened to other people as well, where, now the owner's upset because you're trying to sell this property up front. One thing I want to make sure that you guys can do is when you get these houses under contract, you can tell the actual owner of the property that you've got multiple ways that your strategies for this property. You could say, I always say, hey, there's times when I buy the house, I fix it up, and then I list it with an agent and I resell it. And that's a retail flip. There's times when I buy the property, fix it up, and rent it out. And there's other times when I just wholesale the property off to some of the people that are on my buyers list that want a deal that don't want to take the time to look for it. So by telling that up front, if the owner comes back and says, hey, I saw the same property you got on that you've got under contract with me, you've got on Craigslist, and you can say, well, remember, I told you, that I sometimes market the properties to some of the other buyers in the area if I'm going to wholesale the property. Now, you can say, hey, I don't know, maybe I'll end up, if it doesn't sell, maybe I'll end up buying it myself and turn it into a rental property. Maybe I'll end up using it as a fix and flip. But at the same time, I like to market it to see, I'm trying to see what kind of action I can get on it. Just don't try to hide anything. Just be up front if he comes up to you and just tell him what you're doing. So that's totally okay. So again, you're going to use this ad to attract buyers. If you've got it under contract, now all of a sudden you can start negotiating with these buyers that want to look at the deal. If it's a ghost ad, you're going to follow the script that I've got attached below, and basically all you're doing is saying, hey, as you respond, it's kind of like what I taught you in the foundational course as well. Hey, I'm sorry, I was a little bit premature in putting up the ad. I don't actually have the house under contract yet, but I'm getting close with my negotiations. So, but I'll follow up and just say, hey, what exactly are you looking for? Obviously, you want a good deal. Give me some more specifics on what you're looking for, and actually fill out the buyer interview sheet. So those are some of the ways I kind of use those techniques to use Craigslist to get buyers as well. Now, so what I want you to do is I want you to look below. I'm going to give you another action step. Watch the video on how I do this. Also look at the attachments below. Print those out and have those available so you have your scripts and your forms that you can go off of. So push pause and do that, and we'll be back. Okay, guys, watch this video, and then it's time for an action step, and I'll be back as soon as the video is done.
This is a video on how to post a ghost ad on Craigslist to attract cash buyers. First, go to Craigslist.com and create an account if you don't already have one. Scroll down and find your area. Next, you can click Post to Classifieds over here on the left-hand side of the page. Housing offered, and then you want to select real estate by owner. Now to create the ghost ad, in the posting title you want to put something catchy, and you want to include those key words such as TLC, distressed, rehab property, investor special. So here's one that we have created. And our title says, Investor Special, Must Sell, Needs TLC. For your specific location, just go ahead and put the name of a city and the zip code. You don't have to get too specific. And now for the posting body, as you can see here, we include the price as well as a few details. I usually do a 3-bed, 1-bath, somewhere around 1,000 square feet. Just general information that, could stretch beyond more than one property. So don't get too detailed where it would be unique to just the property that you're talking about. And as for the price, so on this property I have $20,000. How you decide on what price you choose look at the foreclosures in your area. You can look on Zillow or you can ask the realtor to send you MLS listings, and then choose a price that's below that because you want to attract as many cash buyers as possible. So if you set that bar pretty low, you're going to get a lot of responses. Okay, and then use your catchy words. This is still a must sell. Make sure you include cash only. You're looking for cash buyers that will be able to close on all of your properties. And if they have to go to a bank and get financing, especially for double closes and assignments of contract, you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to want to find cash buyers. So make sure you put cash only. That way when you get the responses, you know that those are going to be cash buyers. Okay, and as you can see, I put this house needs a lot of work, that has great potential. All right, and again, finish filling it out at the bottom. And you can choose to fill this out if you want to. And now show on maps, I always uncheck that, especially when I don't have a specific address. So make sure that's unchecked. Go ahead and double check everything and click continue. And here it's going to allow you to upload some images. So find some images of a house that maybe you've had under contract before, one that you've purchased, one that you've sold, or just find some pictures of a distressed property that's in the area. Just make sure whatever pictures you use, that you don't use any pictures that would identify the house or has an address on the house or mailbox, or you don't want to have anything with an address associated with the pictures. Okay, so go ahead and upload your pictures. And now once those images are done uploading, you're going to click Done with Images, and it will send you a final link where you can view your ad. So this is what the final ad looks like. You can click through all the pictures. All right, and this should show up on Craigslist. It usually takes anywhere from 15 minutes and so on. Just keep checking to make sure your ad is there and it doesn't get flagged or taken down. And then you should start getting responses. Once you start getting emails or calls from your ad, make sure you fill out the potential buyer interview sheet. And that is how to find buyers posting a ghost ad on Craigslist. This is a video on how to find buyers online using 3 internet techniques. First, we have our search engines such as Google.com, we have Craigslist, and we have YouTube. So if we go ahead and take a look at Craigslist, you can go to Craigslist.com and scroll down to find your area. Then look under the housing button and click Real Estate for Sale. Now up at the very top, you'll see this click down menu. Select Real Estate by Owner, and then what we want to do is type in We Buy Houses in the search box. And now here are our results. Go ahead and click on them. And you want to take down all of the contact information. So if you click the reply button, you'll see that there's a phone number, and then you can also respond by email. Do that with each one, and then after you're finished, you can call the potential buyers and fill out the buyer interview sheet. The second option we have is your search engine. So I used Google.com here and typed in We Buy Houses, Phoenix, Arizona. As you can see, there are quite a few results. So you want to click on each one and take down the contact information like we did before. And then once you have the contact information, you can begin calling or emailing those potential buyers and fill out the buyer interview sheet. Our next technique is YouTube.com. So if you go to YouTube.com, you can type in We Buy Houses, your city and state. And as you can see, there's going to be quite a few results with people in their videos. Let's just click on one. And you can go ahead and listen to the video if you want. They might answer some of the questions for you. tell you what they're looking for. Okay, or if you scroll down, you'll see that they also have a website and their phone number is right here. So then you can begin contacting those people as well and filling out the buyer interview sheet. Here's what our potential buyer interview sheet looks like. You want to fill out all of their contact information up top and then ask them these questions here. This will give you an idea of what kind of properties that they're looking for, so that once you get a property under contract, you know what buyer would be interested in purchasing this property. So all of these are pretty self-explanatory. Move-in ready or rehabs. So if they want a property that might already have a tenant in place, or if they want a fixer-upper, that's something that you need to know. And then if they have their own rehab teams in place, if they're looking at rehabs, you want to know what areas that they're targeting and how many properties that they bought last year and how many properties they plan to buy this year. That just gives you an idea of kind of what they're looking for and where they're at as far as their purchases in real estate. And then number 6, it's pretty much just a question. So we obviously want our buyers to buy as many properties from us as possible. If they say they plan to buy 10 properties this year, you can go ahead and just ask them why they don't plan to buy 20 properties this year. And depending on what they tell you, it might be something that you would be able to help them out with to get to that 20 properties per year. We want to know how they finance. Cash is obviously what we like to look for, especially with our rehab properties. But sometimes they use private money, hard money. And then in the cases of turnkey properties, we also have, potential clients that do use bank financing. So go ahead and write that down. We want to know if they're buying single-family homes or multifamily homes. If they're also interested in commercial buildings, go ahead and just write that down. We want to know if they base their purchase price on equity or cash-on-cash return. So do they want a lot of equity in the property in order to buy it, or are they more worried about with the cash flow? And then we want to know how much that they're looking at for it to be a potential deal for them. We also need to know what their maximum purchase price is. We don't want to be buying properties in the $100,000 range if they want to stay closer to the $60,000 range. So all of these questions you want to ask your potential buyers. And then once you have that in place, you can go ahead and keep these sheets, maybe go ahead and start a contact list in your email account and put the answers to these questions in the notes just so that you have them, so that when you do get a property under contract, you can easily go back and see what potential buyers would be interested. And that is the how to find potential buyers using our internet searches.
Okay, so we're back. So you guys just did that homework with Craigslist and the ghost ads and all that. So now what we're going to learn is I'm going to show you guys, if you get a deal under contract, one of the foundational ways, and I never see anybody use it anymore, this is something I do in my own business, one of the best ways to sell those properties is to find somebody else that has already bought properties in the local area near your property. What happens is a lot of times investors, especially if they're more so if they're rental property investors and they want that cash flow from rentals, but also with fix and flips as well, is people will find neighborhoods. In a rental investor's case, they like to buy all their rentals in one area, and they'll just drive through once a month and look at all the properties that they have and check on things a little bit. And sometimes on a fix and flip type of investor, they find a pocket they've had a lot of success in selling, and they'll buy in some of those areas as well. So what happens is what we do is if you get a house under contract, and I've got a video that actually shows below that will show you step by step how to do this, but you can go through and find the other investors in the area that have bought properties recently or over time through that in that neighborhood. So what we're going to do is you're going to use the same techniques as we did for finding the phone numbers when we did the 90-day cash solds. You're kind of doing a similar type of a strategy with that. So we're going through, we're looking at some of the other nearby houses, and we're going to see go to the county's assessor site and see if those properties are owned by an investor. And again, we do that because, or we know that because if the tax bill and the actual home address are two different addresses, we know that that's an investment property. So we're going to go through and then we're going to try to call them. If you can figure out that person's phone number, like we said before, using Spokio and some of the other ways we talked about, if you can call that person, that's the fastest way to get in touch with them. So, but if you can't, we're going to send them a flyer on the property that you have under contract. So, for example, you'll take the property, you'll take a couple of pictures. We use a really cool website called Canva, CANVA.com. It's the easiest way to create a flyer. You can create a flyer in literally under a minute. Even if you're slow at it, it's under a minute. It's the most amazing flyer website I've ever used. So we'll put together a quick flyer, and you can mail out that flyer with the price. And keep in mind, you've got to move fast because you've got a short window of time. Mail out that flyer to some of the local investors that have already bought properties. So again, the overview here is you've got a house under contract and you're trying to sell it as fast as you can. The best way to do that is have your buyers first. So this particular technique is you've already got that house under contract and you're using an additional technique in order to find some new buyers. You're sending them this flyer with some of the information about the property and the price and a couple of pictures so that they can make a quick decision on whether or not it's something that they want to call you on and buy or not. So that's the whole idea behind the buyers. I'm going to give you guys another action step to actually follow through with this. I want you to watch the video and watch how we build these flyers on Canva. And there's a video below on how we actually find these houses quickly. So I want you to do that. And then I want you guys to make sure that you're reviewing all of these strategies. The strategies I just talked about with the bandit signs and the 90-day cash solds, the Craigslist ad and these nearby properties. These are your foundational ways. These are the ways you always start out by finding your buyers. These are the most effective ways to find buyers. But I've also included below another dozens of other ways that we've found buyers over the years. So I want you to print that out and review that as well, so that you so those will spark some other ideas, because there are dozens of ways to find buyers. It's just what I just taught you are the most effective ways. This is what we use in my company. So push pause, go through, do that action step, and we'll be back. Okay, guys, watch this video, and then it's time for an action step, and I'll be back as soon as the video is done.
This is a video on how to use Canva to advertise your properties for sale. Canva is an easy-to-use design program. You can build presentations, letterheads, real estate flyers, and more. Many of the features are free, but certain things such as photos that you can use from Canva are available for download at an additional cost. You can always upload your own photos for free. So the first thing you want to do is go to canva.com and either log in or enter your email and password and click sign up. Once you're logged in, on the left-hand side of the page under Designs, you'll see a ton of different templates. So to advertise your property for sale, we want to go down to Marketing Materials and click Real Estate Flyer. Once you do that, you'll see a Layouts tab over on the left-hand side of the page. And if you click that, you can scroll through all of the different layouts and choose one that best suits what you would like your advertisement to look like. Once you've chosen a template, you can begin editing that by double-clicking any of the tabs to change the wording or change the pictures. To change the pictures, you can click the Upload button over at the left-hand side of the page and click Upload Your Own Images. Choose your images, click Open, and you'll see that they'll upload over here on the left-hand side of the page. Once they've finished uploading, you can drag and drop any of the pictures into your template. You can also change the text the background color, and any of the additional elements if you'd like to add those as well. As you can see here, I've edited all of the text and the pictures. So if I was finished with my flyer, what I could go ahead and do is click the download button. And if you're planning to print this out, you can download as a PDF for print. Once you've downloaded it, you'll see it in the lower left-hand side of the page. And if you click on it, your flyer will open up, and this is the result of our new flyer. So I can now choose to print this out, save this, or email it. And that's how to use Canva to create a real estate flyer.
Okay, so welcome back. So now you've got buyers. You guys following those different steps that I just gave you. You have all the buyers you're going to need to buy some of these deals. But those buyers want discounted properties. So pay close attention to this next segment here. We've got a lot of cool stuff to show you. I'm going to do a quick review over a couple of things that I covered in the foundational first video. So go back and refer to that foundational fundamental video if you need a quick refresher course. Hopefully you've already been through that. But bandit signs, again, you should be running bandit signs every week. If you're not running bandit signs, don't do any of the other stuff that I'm going to talk about, because that is what you need to do first. So finding deals through bandit signs, just for a quick review. We used bandit signs to find buyers. We just covered that, but now we also use bandit signs to find deals. That's just a little bit, different of a sign. Everything else is the same except for what we write on it. So we buy houses, any condition, and the phone number. So we've talked about all that. You guys should be doing this as a this is something you should do every week before you do anything else. This is one of the cheapest ways to get discounted properties for the cost that it is involved with buying these signs. I'm still getting signs every single month off of my bandit signs. It's something that you guys should always be doing. Okay, so make sure you're doing that. The next thing is, along with bandit signs, we want to make sure you guys are doing the 25-to-1. We talked about that in the foundational course, but again, just as a very quick review, these are the offers you're putting in with your realtor. You're calling your realtor. You guys all have realtors now. You're calling your realtor. You're telling what your filter, your search criteria is. You want houses that are listed as is, that are vacant, that have had a price reduction. Any of those three, then you take that and you go after the 3-bedroom homes, starter home price ranges in the hot areas. You go from there, and then you look at the description box. You're finding properties that have, needs TLC, diamond in the rough, handyman special, fixer-upper, any of those things that's saying that the property needs work. And then you're going through and making offers on those properties. So we talked about that. If you need to review, go back. So go back and review if you need to. But now I want to jump into the next thing. Okay, so we just talked about, did a quick review on the bandit signs and 25-to-1. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is one of my favorite parts of this entire program. This is something I've spent a lot of time doing over the last several months, and it's killing it for me, finding discounted properties. So what we're going to talk about next is direct mail. Now, we've been doing direct mail for a long time, but we've been tweaking this, and it's really working well. This is one piece of this whole program that I always even hesitate to even give out because it's that powerful. So let's talk about it. Let's walk over to the board here, and we'll actually talk about. So we're doing direct mail. Now, direct mail has been around forever, and one of the reasons why is because it flat out works. Okay. So what we're doing with our direct mail campaigns is we're doing postcards and yellow letters, okay? Now, we have a specific design. We use specific colors. I like the yellow letters or the yellow postcards with red writing, okay? And this writing on these letters is handwritten. Now, you can actually go through and handwrite all these things yourself if you want, or you could use an automated service like what I do. Now, I'm going to give you all of that information below where you're going to be able to just take all my stuff and download it right into your direct mail campaign. So you don't have to do all that stuff. But, there's some people that actually do write the yellow letters out by hand. We don't do that. We find that the technology now is so amazing, you can't even tell that it wasn't handwritten. So they just use the font that works really well that makes it look handwritten. So imagine this. This is why this works so well. I'm going to get to the absentee owner stuff, and it seems like you can find a lot of information out there on mailing to absentee owner. And that does work. But one thing I've discovered recently that I just don't see other people doing is I mail to a vacant list. So let me tell you the difference. So an absentee owner, to give you guys an idea what that means that property is owned by somebody that doesn't live there. Okay, so now it's a rental property, right? That's what an absentee owner is, okay? So they own a property, they don't live there. But the vacant list is different. So the vacant list means that somebody owns that property and they don't live there, and no mail is being delivered to that address. So think about it. When you've got a regular absentee owner property, that means that if somebody's living in that property and they own a different property, the owner lives in a different property than the actual property we're going after. But they have a tenant in there, okay? So they have income coming in on that property, potentially, right? The vacant means, and this is the cool list, I'm going to show you how to do that all below, and go right to that list and pull that list exactly the way I do. But that vacant list means we pull a list through one of the resources. The actual list buying process is kind of sophisticated, but they actually pull lists where they have houses that the U.S. Postal Service is not delivering mail. So think about how powerful that is. And our response rate has been huge. So somebody owns a house and they don't live there and nobody else lives there. No tenant, nobody. That house could be a vacant for a year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever it is. We've seen all kinds of ranges. But are they motivated to sell if there's nobody living there? You bet they are. So we're getting a high response rate from those properties. So I'm going to show you how to do that in the video below. So make sure you mail to this list. This is one of my favorite lists. Again, it's like one of those things I hate hesitating even showing. The other thing is the absentee owner list. We buy that list from Listability. And basically, you guys, I'm going to show you exactly what I do. We do a 69% loan to value, so we know that person has equity. We do single family homes. We do specific purchase dates from basically 1900 all the way up to 2011. And the reason we do that is because we know that the peak of the market, the bottom of the market hit in 2011. So we love it when people bought properties really, really cheap. So think about it. You're focusing on trying to buy the properties from somebody that got a huge discount on it. So that's why we go up to 2011. After that, the market started to go up. So the chances of getting a good deal aren't as good. Oh, one other thing I was thinking about too on this vacant list. Not only is nobody living there, but the way I set up my marketing is there's no mortgage. So think about that. Nobody lives there and hasn't for a while, and there's no mortgage on the property. What's the chances you're going to get that at an absolute steal? I've been killing it with this list. It's been amazing. But jumping back to the absentee owner, so we've got all this criteria. I've included all that below. Just keep in mind, for mine, I go up to $120,000 houses. Because, that's the primary price range in the Midwest where I buy. You guys are obviously going to tweak it if you're living in an area where the starter homes are $250,000 or $450,000 or whatever. You're going to tweak it up to the starter home price ranges. Just keep that in mind. So those are the things that I'm mailing to. We're killing it with this direct mail. The postcards, the yellow background, the yellow letters, the handwritten font, the red ink. the vacant list with no mortgage and nobody's living there, and these absentee owners with all the criteria. So what I want you guys to do, I'm going to give you another action step. I want you to go through how we're doing this with the videos below and some of the printouts below, giving you all the details of everything we're doing, and go through that, and let's get it started. You need to figure out where your target market is and get this direct mail going. You can start small. You can start with a few $100s and just mail out a few hundred of these per week. One of the things that what I did when I'm testing something new, I don't just go out and blow $10,000 on a marketing campaign unless I know it's going to work. So I test a small piece, and then I go back and raise it from there. So one thing to keep in mind is you can buy that list of those names. Let's say you buy the list and the list has 10,000 names. You don't have to mail to all 10,000 people. You can pick 500 people and mail to those 500 people and each week. So one other thing we're doing is a lot of times somebody won't respond to the first time they see a postcard. So we hit them every week. So we'll take that first 500 names that we get, and we'll mail that postcard to those people. And then the following week, we'll remail to the same 500 people again. And the following week again, until we start getting responses. And you'll find that you'll still get responses. So what you're paying for here is you're paying for a list, the actual names of the people with the criteria I'm just describing, and then you're also paying for the actual postcards and the postage to get those sent out. So just keep in mind that you don't have to rebuy that list every time. You can remail to it. On average, it takes about 5 to 7 times of somebody seeing something before they'll call. So I'll keep hitting that list 5 to 7 times before I'll start with the next batch. So anyway, let's go through. Let's hit pause, go through the action steps, and then we'll be back in a minute. Okay, guys, watch this video, and then it's time for an action step, and I'll be back as soon as the video is done.
This is a video on how to pull the absentee owner list using Listability. First, go to listability.com and click Register. Then on the left-hand side of the page, enter a username and a password and click Sign Up. Then once you're logged in, on the home page, scroll down to Master Absentee Homeowner List. And then let's go ahead and start with geography first. So there's a few things that we want to look for when we pull this list. On Listability, we look for absentee owners, which we just selected that. Loan to value under 69%. Price from 0 to 120,000, and depending on your area, you may need to adjust that. Purchase date 1900 to 2011. Single family homes, and then the zip codes of our choice. So right now we're going to go ahead and select our zip codes, and we're going to use property zip code. As you can see below, selecting the property location will return owners with properties in the area you selected, but that don't live in the home. So go ahead and choose that and enter your zip codes. If you don't know the zip codes, you can always look those up using this button here too. So after you finish doing that, then let's go to additional selections. There's no need to save your information. It will automatically save it for you. As you can see on the left-hand side of the page, we have 3 zip codes. So after you click additional selections, choose all selections below that. And let's start with the very first criteria we have, which is loan to value under 69%. So go ahead and look up loan to value, and that's right here. Click on that and type in 0 to 69%. Click continue, and then go back to all selections. And now we want to do purchase price. So that's going to be under home purchase amount right here. Select that, and we're going to type in 0 to 120,000. And click continue. Every time you click continue, it'll show you all of your selections so far. So go back to all selections. And now we want to go ahead and include the purchase date. So if you go down to purchase date and click that, you can type in the dates here. So we'll do January 1st, 1900. And then we'll do December 31st of 2011. And we'll click continue. All right, and then go back to all selections, and the last thing we want to choose is single family homes. So that's going to be under property type detail. And here you can select single family residence. Click continue, and you can review all of your selections here. So if everything looks good, you can go ahead and place your order. And as you can see, it turned up 889 records. So you can either choose to have those all sent to you, or you can limit your order to whatever amount that you want to choose. Okay, and then as far as this selection goes, I usually just leave it as one time because I end up downloading the list to my computer and I can use it anytime I want to. So click continue. And now the file format I usually leave as CSV because, as noted in one of the other direct mail videos, this is the format that they need when you upload your list. Everything else looks good, and I click continue. And now you'll check your order summary and information and click next. And you can change the email subject line if you want. Make sure your email is correct and click continue. All right, make sure everything looks good. Once you do that, you'll put in your payment information and you'll process your order. Now, once you do that, you'll need to come back up here to download orders. And you'll receive an email with your order number and a password. So once you receive that email, go to download orders, put in that information here, and click submit. It'll bring up a box that looks exactly like this, and you can choose to download it by left-clicking the download button, and you see that it ends up down here in my downloaded folder. Now, after you do that, all you got to do is check your downloads, double-click to unzip the file, open up the folder, and then here is your absentee list that you can use to upload for direct mail. And that's how to pull an absentee owner list using Listability.
Okay, I want to show you another way I find discounted deals. One way is through other wholesalers. So imagine this. So you're out there, you're hunting, and you're making offers using 25-to-1, bandit signs. You got your direct mail working. You've got all these different avenues working to get deals. Well, just imagine there's a lot of other people out there as well. And most people are taught, go out and find deals. They don't focus on the buyers as much as finding deals. So what happens is they get these killer deals under contract, and they don't have anybody to sell them to. So one of my best strategies, and something I constantly do deals every month, is I contact other wholesalers, and I have them send their deals to me. So, how are some of these ways that I find these wholesalers? One is going online and searching for people that put ads out that say we buy houses. So, they're doing advertising that they buy houses. So we just call them up and say, hey, I saw your ad on YouTube, or I saw your ad on, Craigslist, or I saw your ad through Googling it through your website, and that you buy houses. So I'm just curious, do you have any houses for sale? So that's what I ask them, and they always say yes. Yeah, we've got some great deals. So, here's the thing is this game is all about buyers. If you have buyers that will pay more, and remember, we started this out by finding the buyers first. That's how we teach this. Building a huge buyers list. You've got buyers that will pay more. You can take their deals, pay them an assignment fee of $3,000. They assign that deal to you, then you turn around and assign it again for a higher markup. Most of the time when I do this, I make a much higher spread than they do, and they did all the work to go find the deal. Again, we're putting our time into, yes, we want to find killer discounted deals, but we're putting a lot of time into building this big buyers list. So what's some of the ways? So if you go on to Craigslist, and I've got a couple of things written here. If you go on to Craigslist and just type in "we buy houses" in the in the search bar under the, real estate for sale. And sometimes they put it under several different categories. Sometimes people will advertise We Buy Houses in the rental section. So you can just do a general search for your area, and you'll come up with people that have these ads out for We Buy Houses. And you need to call them up, and it's super simple. Just call them up. Just say, hey, I saw your ad on Craigslist that you buy houses. I'm just curious, do you have anything for sale? And as soon as they say yes, have them send you one of those deals, and go check out the deal. See if it's got equity. You know how to run comps. You know how to figure value, and then just remarket it. And you can just straight up ask them, hey, I'm another wholesaler. I got a huge buyers list. Do you mind if I remarket this deal? And they're going to say yes, because as long as they get their price, they don't care. So if they got it under contract for $50 and they want $55 for it, so they're making a $5,000 spread. If you can sell it for $65, you make that $10,000 spread. This is a great technique if you have absolutely no money to do any marketing for finding deals. So, any of these people, these buyers, they might be doing direct mail, they might be doing bandit signs, they might be, driving for dollars, just talking to people, whatever it is, they're spending the money. You're literally spending no money to find that deal. So it's kind of nice that way. So if you have to pay a $3,000 fee or a $5,000 fee or whatever, that's still, you're not actually paying that fee until it closes. That money's never coming out of your pocket. That money will be paid to them at closing time. So just kind of keep that in mind. It really is irrelevant. So you can go on to Craigslist. The other thing, notice what I have here. I have IFTTT. Now this is a cool little website that we use. We automate all of our Craigslist ads with IFTTT because they have a neat little program that you can kind of write a program without even really knowing how to write program. So you can use IFTTT to find houses, but you can also use it to search for anybody that puts We Buy Houses on Craigslist. So here's how it works. Here's how this web. So if you go to IFTTT.com, you can go in and follow, and I've got a video below teaching you how to do all of this. But you can basically, what this does is you can write a little program so that if somebody goes on Craigslist and puts, let's say they put an ad up that says We Buy Houses. You're going to get a text message on your phone immediately. The minute they click send and that ad goes live, you get a text message. So you could be the first one that receives that ad. The other thing, I use it for cheap houses too, and we use keywords. Again, I'm going to show you how to do that in the video below. But we use keywords like when somebody lists something that says fixer-upper or handyman special or anything, we program IFTTT to send us that ad on my phone before anybody else can get to it. So that's a neat little website you definitely need to check out and take a look at and then program so that you can get these deals automatically. Don't get me wrong, as far as when we're finding deals, we still go through and use Craigslist manually and check it too, just in case something pops up that this doesn't catch. The other thing is you can Google We Buy Houses, and you'll in a city. Let's say you're in Kansas City, Missouri. You could type in We Buy Houses, Kansas City. And all of those people that put up ads for We Buy Houses, that'll come up. Those are all buyers. Now you can call those people, again, same script. Hey, I saw your ad that you buy houses. Do you have anything for sale? Of course we do. And they'll give you a list. You could try to wholesale those deals. You can do the same thing for YouTube. This is a killer way to add some more buyers to your list because these people are doing mass marketing. They're getting these deals, and then you can turn around and market those deals to somebody else on your list. So those are some cool little ways. The other thing too, you can just type in We Buy Houses and the city in each one of these scenarios to find these buyers that'll have deals for you to sell. But the other thing you can do is there's a little trick that if you type in We plus Buy plus Houses and then plus whatever city that you're investing in, that will include all of those words. That little plus sign between keeps all of those words in the search. So Google just doesn't try to pick one of the words and just do a kind of a bigger search that way. So that's a way to really dive in a little bit more accurately on your searches. So this is a way that we're using to find discounted deals. Obviously this technique also works for, finding other buyers, but we're using these wholesalers to create deals that we can turn around and sell ourselves. So what I want you to do is go through the videos below and some of the other worksheets on some of this stuff and learn the finite details on how we do all this stuff, and then we'll be back. Okay guys, watch this video and then it's time for an action step, and I'll be back as soon as the video is done.
This is a video on how to use ifttt.com in order to automate the way that you find deals. So basically, if this, then that is what IFTTT stands for, and it's a website that allows users to create chains of simple condition statements called recipes, which are triggered based on changes to other websites. An example of a recipe that you could use to help find distressed properties for sale by owner might consist of sending an email or a text to you when a new Craigslist ad has been published with certain keywords. So to get started, go to ifttt.com and click Sign Up. It'll ask you for your email and a password and create your free account. After you've done that, go ahead and log in, and on the home page, if you scroll down, you'll see recommended recipes. So these are recipes that other people have put together, and you can go through these to see if any interest you. Because again, this website can be used for quite a few different things. So it's basically to help automate your systems. Now, if you don't see what you're looking for, you can go ahead and type in the keyword up at the top search bar and search. What we want to find is if a Craigslist ad is posted with certain keywords, then we'll receive an email. So this very first box says get notified of new Craigslist posts. So that looks like what we want. So we'll go ahead and click on it, and if you scroll down, you can go ahead and read this if you'd like to get some tips on searching Craigslist. If you know what you want to search, you can click the search for something on Craigslist ad. And if you've watched previous videos, you know how to look for deals on Craigslist already. So you can go back to the main page and select your city and state. You want to go to Housing, Real Estate for Sale, select for Sell by Owner. And then in this box right here, you can start putting in your keywords. So let's say we want to search for properties that have the word letters TLC in them. Okay, so up here, you can copy and paste this URL and go back and paste it right there. Once you add this, you'll start receiving emails for any new Craigslist posts that contain the word TLC and Real Estate by Owner. And you can continue to do this with different words. So if we want to add distressed, we do the same thing. And you can do this as many times as you want. Now, after you've finished creating your recipes, you can browse those here and look at all of the different recipes that you've created. Now, let's say we want to get a text message. So we'll follow pretty much the same standard outline as far as searching Craigslist up at the top, but then we want to search for a notification icon. And we see right here, new Craigslist post equals push notification. Now, in order for this to work, you're going to have to download the app for ifttt.com onto your phone. And you do basically the same thing. Okay, now in order for you to get those push notifications, again, you'll have to download this app onto your phone so that it can send you the push notifications as those Craigslist ads are posted. And that's how to use IFTTT to find new deals on Craigslist and automate your systems. This is a video on how to find deals using Craigslist. First, go to Craigslist.com and scroll down and find your area. You'll notice that the major cities are under the state names. Once you find your area, go ahead and click on the link, and you'll see this page right here with all of the different sections. Look under Housing and go down to Real Estate for Sale, And up at the top, you'll see this pull-down menu, and you want to select Real Estate by Owner. Now, once you've done that, you'll see the search bar here where you can enter in the keywords to narrow down your search for those rehab projects that you're looking for. So some of the keywords that we can use, if you look at number 9 here, you can use needs work, as is, must sell, handyman special, repairs, distress, TLC, rehab, and fixer-upper. Those are just a few examples of a property that needs work and does also show motivation for the seller to sell. So you can type in those keywords. Make sure you only use one keyword at a time. And then if you also need to narrow down your city, for example, we selected the Quad Cities, which includes quite a different amount of areas. We want to narrow that down so that we can get better results. So, for example, we want to type in one of the cities, which is Rock Island, and then you can enter the plus sign, TLC. Push enter. And now these are all of the properties meeting that criteria that we typed in here. So what you can do is go ahead and click on each one. And if it's a property that interests you or that you think could be a good deal, you can go ahead and click the reply button, and it will give you the contact information. So we have a name, we have a phone number, and you can also choose to email the person as well. So if it's a property that you're interested in, what you want to do is contact the seller and fill out the real estate lead sheet. And that is how to find deals using Craigslist.
Okay, so we're back. So now let's figure out, we're wholesaling houses. What is a good deal? Okay, now I'm going to show you how to make your offers. Okay, so, this is going to clear up any of the confusion. I'm like, hey, I don't know what a good deal and what a bad deal is. Okay, so let's just go through this. So we've got this offer formula here. For now, don't pay attention to this stuff. I want you to look just at this. So ARV, again, that's after repaired value. In the foundational course, we taught you how to do comps. You've got the videos to watch. You can review if you need to. One of the most important pieces to this. But after repaired value, that's, hey, it doesn't matter the condition it is right now. What is it worth after all the repairs are done and it's in move-in retail condition, okay? So we take that number, whatever that number is, times 0.7. So when what we're doing there when we take it times 0.7 is we're subtracting out 30% off of that price. Okay, that's the spread that an investor wants. Remember, you've got to deliver killer deals. Then we subtract out the repairs. We're going to get into the repair cost a little bit later, and I'm going to teach you how to figure that a little bit better. But for now, we're just going to use a general number, for example, for this example. And then you've got to subtract out your profit. Okay, so your profit in a deal, this is your assignment fee. This is the spread that you want to make. In a double close, this is your gross profit. So what that means is, let's just use easy numbers. Let's say that this house after rehab is worth $100,000. Okay, we take it times 0.7, and that gives us $70,000. Okay, let's say, for example, that the repairs on this property are $20,000. Okay, so subtract out 20. Now we're at $50,000. All right. So now let's say we're trying to make a $10,000 spread for an assignment fee. So we knock off another 10, and we're left with $40,000 is our max offer price. That means you can't offer any more than that. And a lot of times I know that number, and I'll start a little bit less. I might start out at 30, 35, 36, 37,000 and some change. I always use an oddball number because just statistically speaking, a round number has a higher chance of being countered than an oddball number. So, for example, in this case, I might go with something like $37,300. It looks like I've done my math. That gives me room to negotiate and to counter up. So that's how you figure your offer formula. The biggest thing you got to start with is this this ARV number. This is the most important number here. The repairs, as far as the repairs go, that's a subjective number, and here's why. Because some people over-improve property. They go in and they over-improve, and their repair budget is massive. And then some people come in and they do all the work themselves, and they go to every single discounted supply shop they can find, and they buy all these supplies cheap, or they go on Craigslist and search for cheap supplies. So what the average person might do for a $20,000 rehab, they might do for $7,500. So what I want you guys to do for an easy way to figure out repairs is just take the square footage of the house. So if the house is 1,000 square feet, take it times $15 per foot, per square foot. Okay? So in a 1,000 square foot scenario, this would be a $15,000 rehab budget. And use that as your initial numbers. Now, I'm going to get more in depth on that when we talk through the fix and flip segment. So if you want to shoot down to that and jump ahead, feel free, and I'm going to get into. But for now, use that $15 a square foot number. That's going to be a general number that will work for you. And then your profit, I'm going to explain a little bit more next. But that's a good way to get it started. This will tell you if you have a deal. If in this particular case, if the ARV is $100,000 and you've got a max offer price of $40,000, and you can buy this property. Let's say that you did a direct mail and you listened to me and you sent out your postcard and you got somebody that has a property and they're asking $20,000 in this scenario. Well, obviously, you've got a huge spread. You're going to make way more than $10,000 if their asking price is $20,000. On the flip side of that, if you've got this house and it's $100,000 and they're asking $105,000 and they have a mortgage of $100,000, there's not a lot you can do there. So by running this formula, you'll get really good. A lot of times I'll be walking through a house, I'll pull out the calculator on my phone and I'll just do it right on the spot, because a lot of times I know about what the values are. As you do more and more deals, you're going to figure that out and have more of a gut feeling, but always go back and do the math to verify everything. So now let's jump over to this little box I have written here. This will tell you whether or not what profit you're asking is really legitimate. So if you think about it, here's the ARV. This is the top of the market. Okay. So if you've got a property and you do full repairs to it after repaired value, that's the same as saying that's the top of that starter home. That's the top of the market. And that's what good, perfect move-in condition houses are selling for, okay, in this scenario. Well, if you go in the same neighborhood and all the foreclosures in that neighborhood, they're going to be selling for what's the bottom of the market, because they need all these repairs and they're bank-owned and they haven't been taken care of. So for easy math, if you can, if this property is after repaired value of $100,000 and the foreclosures in the area are selling for $70,000, okay? If they're selling for $70,000, and it doesn't matter where you live in the country, there's always going to be a spread from perfect move-in condition houses and foreclosures. You can do, just like I taught you in the foundational class on how to run comps, we ran comps off a retail condition. If you go back to that segment, you'll see where in the very beginning, those 3 to 5 solds were retail condition. Well, what if you did this? What if you did those 3 to 5 solds in the same neighborhood but only included foreclosures? Your agent can send you those listings and have, HUD foreclosures or Fannie Mae foreclosure or whatever. That's the only thing. Just have her send you only those and run comps. And you're going to see there's a big spread on what the foreclosures sell for. In general, depending on where you're at in the country, they sell for 20 to 30% less. So if this is the top of the market and the foreclosures represent the bottom of the market, your profit in that deal is where you have your accepted offer. So if your accepted offer in this particular case was $50,000, if your offer was accepted at $50,000 and all the foreclosures were at $70,000, you know that you've got a legitimate good deal, because the bottom of the market is determined by the foreclosures. On the flip side, if your accepted offer was $75,000 and foreclosures are selling for $70,000, who in their right mind would buy that property from you, especially when you add in your profit on what you want to make? Why would anybody buy that property from you when they can just buy a foreclosure cheaper? I hope that really opens up your eyes on using this chart. Use this diagram when you're figuring out, do you have a good deal? Where are the foreclosures selling? Where are the perfect move-in condition houses selling? You got to get your offer accepted below the bottom of the market, below the foreclosures, and create your spread in between. I hope that really opened up your eyes for how I look at deals and know whether or not I can go into any market in the country and into a city I've never been to and point to a house, and I can tell you, by running comps what it's worth after repairs, what the foreclosures just like it are selling for. I can start making offers, get a house accepted below the foreclosure prices, and wholesale those deals. It seems like that's an easy process. It's not necessarily easy, but it is simple. This is a simple way to look at this. This is what you really need to focus on. So that's how you do your formula. Now I want you guys, you're out there, you've got your bandit signs working, you've got buyers, you've got deals coming in. Take one of these offers that now that you've had somebody call one of your marketing, and you've got lead sheets filled out, and you've got offers coming in, and you've got some potential deals. Now start plugging in this math and seeing if you've got a good deal. So go do some practice, run through 5 or 10 deals, and run your offer and see if you've got a good deal that send to your buyers, and then we'll be back. Okay, guys, it's time for an action step. Okay, so welcome back. Now, you've got your buyers, you've got your offers going out, you're getting discounted properties. A lot of stuff's happening, right? Well, one thing about it is once you get a house under contract, this is an important piece. You've got to sell that property fast. Like I said before, you have 14-day inspection. You've got to move. You got to move fast to get this thing sold. This is no time to waste. So in order to do this right, you've got to present that property to your buyers list the most professional way you can do. And you want to make sure that you include a lot of detail. So here's what I do. So when I'm marketing to my buyers, I put these properties in Postlets.com. It's a way to create a little flyer. If you're out of the country, like Canada, I know they don't have Postlets. Just use the flyer website that I gave you guys before and go that route. I'm going to have more details. I'll just repost that same video below so that you guys can just copy off and use that. So just include lots and lots of detail, as much detail as you can. You don't want somebody to pass on your deal just because they don't have enough detail about the property. The other thing, too, is by using a website or a brochure. This is just an online brochure, which we've created our own to use in some of the areas that don't allow Postlets. But it's just an online brochure. It's just a fancy way to create an online brochure. So just remember that detail sells. I've had people send me an email that's one line long or a text message that's a few words that say, hey, great deal, such and such price, 3-bedroom, 1-bath. I'm never looking at that deal. There's no detail. I can tell that wholesaler has no clue as to what they're doing, and that deal is probably just a total waste of time. So I don't even bother with that. I tell everybody, if you're going to send a deal to me, you've got to have a lot of detail. And that's why when I wholesale a deal, I do the same thing. I think about what I would want in order to make that purchase. So include as much detail as you can. 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. Put the address in there. Put all the square footage and the detail of the property, how much the taxes are, all that stuff. Put as many pictures as you can. 15, 20, 30 pictures, if at all possible, as pictures will sell. And don't skip the pictures of something that's bad. The whole point of this is you want to build repeat customers. You want these people to buy house after house after house from you. The reason why I've got buyers that continue to buy, and they get to the point now once they know that I'm trustworthy and that everything I say it is going to be, they stop doing as much due diligence and they don't waste time. You know, you might take a buyer right now that takes, 7 or 8 days to make a decision. Once they're comfortable with you and they know that you're the real deal, they could make a decision in an hour. So, make sure you take pictures of everything that's wrong with the property so they can figure out the numbers. I want you to include all the numbers to the deal. Do your research on what the ARV is. Be accurate with it. Be smarter than the next guy. Figure out what we want to include the repairs. Now, you're going to estimate the repair cost, but again, it's a subjective number. Some people are really expensive, some are really cheap. The biggest thing though is if you include the repairs, meaning list that the roof's bad, list that the ceiling's fallen in, list that the doors are broken, or if it's in good shape, list that too. Send as many pictures and send as much detail about that you can see. That way, if you say, hey, the repairs are $15,000, and this guy's thinking, I can get this done for $5,000, well then he's even thinking it's a better deal than what it is. And the other thing is if you put $15,000 down for the repairs and it really costs $25,000, that person's going to at least, even though you don't know how to bid the repairs necessarily, he at least can figure that out. As soon as you said, hey, this is a 1,200 square foot house and it needs a roof and that roof is $7,000 and you put for the whole rehab $15,000, he's going to know, well, the interior rehab's going to cost me $15,000 by itself, but that roof's going to cost me $7,000. At least you listed that it needed it. It doesn't seem like you're trying to sneak anything past them. You can be wrong on the numbers and be right on the details, and they will forgive you for that and not hold it against you and keep buying from you. So include all the detail you can. If you're sending this out and this buyer wants to use it as a rental property, do some research on what you think it'll rent for. We use Zillow. You go to the For Rent in Zillow, you can type in an address. The next thing you know, you can see what all these houses in that city are renting for in the area. So use all those tools as well. Figure out the numbers, and if it's a fix and flip, obviously that's what a lot of these buyers are going to want, and your ARV numbers and all that's going to work well for what they're trying to do. So what I want you to do is I want you to learn how to use this site. I want you to go through the video and set up your Postlet account and go through and actually put a house into Postlets and get some practice at it. It'll take you a little bit longer in the first one, but after you get good at it, you can pop them out in 5-10 minutes. So anyway, do that and we'll be back. Okay guys, watch this video and then it's time for an action step, and I'll be back as soon as the video is done.
This is a video on how to use Postlets to advertise your properties for rent or for sale. So the first thing you want to do is go to Postlets.com and sign up. It will ask you for your email address and to create a password. Once you do that, click sign up and it will ask you for your contact information and send you an email to verify your account. Once you finish signing up, go ahead and log into your Postlets account using your email address and password. To get started, go ahead and select New Postlet and put in all of your information. So it will walk you through step by step. Let's go ahead and put in the address here. And then if you are posting for rent, select for rent. And if you are posting for sale, select for sale. Save and continue. And make sure you save and continue each time or it won't save your information. Alright, we're going to put in our asking price here. And since we are the owners of the property, we will select owner. If you were an agent or a broker, you could also select that option as well. Now the property details, we want to make sure we're as accurate as possible. Sometimes Postlets will automatically fill in this information for you, but you do still want to double check to make sure that it's accurate. So go ahead and select all of the information. And as you can see, this information here is not required, but we always suggest putting in as much information as you can. One of the reasons is obviously to have a detailed ad, because your ad sells. So the whole point of creating a Postlet is to get somebody interested in buying your property. The more information you have on that ad, the better chances that you'll have interested people. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason is it syndicates to other websites such as Zillow. Zillow provides a Zestimate, which is an estimated value of your property. It bases that Zestimate on the information you provide here. So if you leave out the square footage or the year built or that it has a garage, it will affect your Zestimate. So just know that. Okay, so go ahead and fill in what you can. And if you don't know some of this, you can always look on the county website or call the county assessor. Click Save and Continue to move to the next block. And here it's going to allow us to upload some photos. So go ahead and select your files. Just find wherever you stored those images and click Open. You can also put in a video or additional media as well. We usually just stick to photos. Let those upload, and as you will be able to see, sometimes it doesn't always upload in the order that you want them to appear. The very first picture will be the very first picture that appears on your ad. So if you want it to be a front exterior picture or maybe a nice interior picture, it's totally up to you. But if for some reason it didn't appear in the order that you want, just go ahead and drag and drop those. Go ahead and click Save and Continue. And the property description is probably one of the most important parts because this is what everybody's going to see about your property. If you want to go ahead and maybe it was recently remodeled, it has a new roof, new windows. If you want to put your cash flow and run the numbers here, put your sales price, your rent, your vacancy, your taxes, anything about the property that you want other people to know can go here. Okay, and if it's a rehab project, you can go ahead and list that too. Maybe put the ARV, show equity, estimated rehab cost. It's totally up to you, but whatever you want people to see really should go right here. Okay, and if you scroll down, these are going to be the unit features. So again, just be as detailed as you can. This is not required, but is definitely encouraged. Okay, and after you finish going through all of those features, scroll down and click Save and Continue. And this is your very last page before you activate your Postlet. It is just a review page to make sure everything is as accurate as possible in the way that you want it. Make sure your front picture is how you'd like it to read. All the property details are correct. After you've done that, you can click Activate Postlet. Once you activate your Postlet, it takes up to 48 hours to appear on other websites. And those websites are all listed right here. So if you want to check, sometimes it's sooner. You can start checking maybe after 24 to 48 hours. Check Zillow, check Trulia, and just see if your listing has appeared. Right here is our draft listing. Now I'm not going to activate this Postlet only because the information is not accurate. I was just using it as an example, so I don't want this to go live. But you will also be given a link that you can provide in an email to other investors as well if you'd like. So that's how to create a Postlet. And the same exact thing is done for rent as well. As you can see, it was just step by step. After you clicked Save and Continue, it brought you automatically to the next page. Same exact process. So hopefully that helped you out, and that is how to create Postlets.
Okay, so we're back. So now you've got your buyers, you've got your discounted deals, you've made offers, you've got offers accepted, you've got buyers that are interested. You've sent them a Postlet. Now they want to look at the house. Okay, so they've seen all the pictures. So a couple of things are going to happen. One, some buyers make the decision based on pictures and any criteria you send. The first time that they do a deal with you, they'll probably make sure that they come and look at it and walk through it and all that. And a lot of times some buyers will always do that. Some get big enough where they don't necessarily do that every time. So, but what's going to happen is somebody's going to want to come and do an inspection, okay? So if it's an MLS property and that property is listed with a realtor, this is where you've got to talk to your realtor about either getting the lockbox code or meeting one of your buyers over at the property. Okay, you should be there too at that point, unless it's a virtual type wholesale deal. But a lot of times people get all freaked out about this because they're afraid that now the realtor's not now the realtor knows that I'm not going to close on it and I'm trying to wholesale it. Don't get stressed out about it. Just let the realtor know. I'm always just cool, calm, and collected about it. And obviously, once you've done a couple of deals with this realtor, if it's a new realtor, they're going to be, much more laid back once they've closed a couple of deals or even one deal. The first time, it's a little bit more stressful. But just let the realtor know, hey, I've decided not to keep this one myself, but I've got a couple of partners or a couple other business guys that want to buy the property, and they want to come over and look at it. So we need to set up an appointment. So you go over and look at it. Just remember, don't act. It's all in your posture. If you act nervous and scared and afraid, then they think that something's going to go wrong and they're not going to get paid their commission. So make sure you just, hold your posture and be confident. Meet them over there. If you can just get a lockbox, some parts of the country, they have Supra keys, which is a digital way to get in and out of a lockbox, and you have to be a realtor in order to do that. In other parts of the country, especially with foreclosures, which is what we focus on, it's just a lockbox. Just get the lockbox code, and meet your buyer over there and walk through it that way. And that saves a lot of time and effort from the realtor. I always like to tell my realtors, like, hey, there's no sense in you driving across town and spending time. I just want to go back over there. Give me the lockbox code. I want to go look at the house again. And a lot of times they save time. Now, some of them don't feel comfortable doing that when they first start working with you. But again, if you close a few deals, it gets a lot easier. Remember, we're focusing on vacant homes. So whether it's an MLS deal or a for sale by owner deal, most of the time it's vacant. Not all the time, but 95% of the time it's vacant. So there's not like you're walking in on somebody. So on the for sale by owner deals, the deals that you find through your other wholesalers, marketing through your direct mail or your bandit signs, those aren't listed with the real estate agents 99% of the time. Those are just vacant homes somebody responded to. So on those properties, you can ask the owner if you could put a lockbox on the property because you've got contractors that are going to be in and out. Some of them don't care. They're so far disconnected from the house. Other of those sellers, they want to meet you over there, which is also no big deal. Meet up with your buyer, walk through the house. I have other wholesalers that sell me properties all the time that I've bought multiple properties from. I've never even met these guys before. They get a deal under contract. They send it to me. I'm interested and I want to go buy it. I go meet the seller, and the seller doesn't know that, that we're not, me and that wholesaler aren't really connected. They don't really even care. They go over, they open the house, you walk through the house and you look at it. They just care about closing. So don't overthink this process. Yes, you have to be smart about it. Yes, you have to be confident, but don't overthink it. You just need to, get in there, get your buyer in there, let him walk through. Most of these cash buyers, they're in and out of a house in 10 minutes or so. When I look at a house, I'm in and out. I've seen so many of them. I know what the repairs are. They just want to go over there, look at the property, get in, get out, and then leave. So, just be aware of it. That's why I'm teaching it, but don't overthink it. It's not that big of a deal. So anyway, I just wanted to cover that with you. We'll be right back with the next section. Okay, so now, next, we've got the buyer. The buyers went and looked at the property and they're interested. You've got a profit staring you right in the face. So what are we doing now? Okay, so we need to get paid that assignment fee or a double close fee. In the foundational course, we talked about what the differences are and which scenario we use in each scenario. But so I don't need to cover that again. But if it's an assignment fee or a double close, it works a little bit different. But on an assignment fee, let's say you're assigning that property for $10,000. The best way, the perfect way to do this deal is to go to the title company, sign the assignment of contract, which we've got a video to show you how to do all that stuff. Sign the assignment contract and you get a $10,000 check up front. That's ideal. Now, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes these buyers, they want to close it all at the time that they close in the deal. So if you're brand new and you've never done one of these deals before, there's you've got your purchase agreement. Now you've got your assignment agreement. Okay, that's a one-page document. As soon as you sign that assignment sheet and turn it over to the buyer and he signs it, now he has control of that purchase agreement, which leaves you a little exposed if he flakes out. So I always tell the buyer, I always say, listen, when I do these deals, I get paid up front. That's non-refundable. If you flake out and don't close, that's on you, but I get paid. If they say, well, a lot of times they'll say, okay, yeah, I want the deal. It's good to go. Let's move forward. If they say no, I don't want to do it that way, at least ask for at least half of that assignment fee up front. So I want to get $5,000. I know through experience that if somebody puts up at least $5,000 up front, and if it's a $10,000 fee, then you get paid the other $5,000 once it closes. I know that they're not going to flake out. So, that's kind of my rule on that. So how much do you want to get up front, and then try to get it up front and the rest at closing? That's really important. If it's a double close, then, you're going to get a deposit up front, a non-refundable deposit. Same scenario. If you can get $5,000 deposit that's non-refundable down, that deal's going to close. So once you sign this assignment, or you sign a new purchase agreement on a double close scenario, that deal's going to close a couple of weeks later. So it's not a long time, but that there is some time, that's going to pass by before this deal closes. So just remember that. You got to get some money up front. You got to make it a big enough chunk that this person doesn't flake out. So now, speaking of that, title company or attorney, I've got a video that I've created on how, if you are to the point where, this buyer wants the deal and they're ready to sign right now, whether it be another purchase agreement or the assignment of contract, I try to do all of that stuff through the title company or through my real estate attorney. The reason being is because then it's really like legitimate and professional. In the beginning, I used to sign the contracts myself, and I always felt weird about going to somebody's kitchen table and signing a purchase agreement. And I always thought that those people, would flake a little bit easier versus if you do it at a title company or do it with an attorney or through a title company. We don't usually go there anymore. I contact my title company. I give them, hey, here's the buyer's name, here's the assignment fee, and here's their phone number, here's the email if they have an email. And we give them that information, and I let the title company contact that person and make it all official and legitimate. So I've got a video created. I want to show you guys exactly the exact email we send to do all that. So go ahead and push pause, watch that video, and then we'll be back. Okay, guys, watch this video, and then it's time for an action step, and I'll be back as soon as the video is done.
This is a video on how to request a purchase agreement from your title company or attorney on for sell by owner deals. So first we start with purchase agreement request and the address of the property in the subject line. Then in the body of the email, we write in our title company or attorney contact name and ask if we can please request a purchase agreement for this property, and we restate the address. Then we add the seller information below, the name, the phone number, and the email address. Below that, we put the buyer information, which is us, so whatever entity we plan to buy in, we would put here, along with our address. Then we type in the accepted price, how many days for closing, 30 days is our standard, how we plan to finance, so if it's going to be through a bank or if we plan to pay cash, how much earnest money that we plan to put down, usually we do $1, and a 14-day inspection contingency. After we type in all of this information, we will go ahead and send to our title company or attorney, which will then receive our request, put together the purchase agreement, and they will send back to us for review. After we review the purchase agreement and everything looks good, we will let them know, and they usually will contact the seller with the information we provided in order to get their signature and in order for them to fill out the disclosures. After we get back the signed copy from the seller, we will then sign it ourselves, and then we have this property fully under contract, and we will have a closing date set. And that's how to request a purchase agreement from your title company or your attorney. This is a video on how to fill out an assignment of contract. An assignment of contract allows you to sign over your contractual rights to the property to another party. This is typically used when wholesaling. You use an original purchase agreement to lock up the property with the seller, and then an assignment of contract to assign it over to your end buyer for a fee. So the original purchase agreement, depending on your area, could look something like this. And then when you're ready to assign the property, this would be the template that you could use. And here I've showed you how to fill it out. So in this space, you want to put your name or your business name. However, in the original contract, you stated you would be purchasing the property. Put that here. Put the date that you fill this out here, and the original seller of the house here. Now for your end buyer, they're going to be your assignee. So make sure you put their name or their entity that they're purchasing in here. The property address, and then your assignment fee. In this space, this is not where you put the purchase price, but the fee that you're marking up the purchase price for your assignment fee. Here in number 1, you're going to put the closing date that's on the original contract. And then for the assignment to be paid out, you want to put your name or the business name, however you have it on the original contract, the amount of your assignment fee, and then you're going to sign it, and then the assignee, the person or the end buyer, is going to sign here. You date that, and then you send that to the title company along with the original purchase agreement. And that's how to fill out the assignment of contract.
Okay, so now we're back. I wanted to cover one last thing. So if you did an assignment of contract and you've got your attorney and your attorney contacted the buyer and basically took it from there, you got paid all of it up front or some of it up front, you're going to get paid the rest when it closed. We covered that. But I wanted to cover something on the double close. And remember, in the foundational video, we talked, when do we use a double close? Well, if we're going to make more than $10,000 and we want to hide our profit, or if the property's an REO, a foreclosure, we have to, go through the double close as well, because foreclosures don't allow assignments of contract in 99.99% of the cases. So in a double close scenario, I wanted to talk to you about 2 terms that you need to know. One is called dry, if you close it dry, and one is called wet. Now, as we went through the how to find the title company in the foundational videos, we talk about this. We're searching for title companies that want to close this transaction dry. Okay? So what that means is this. In this scenario, you're buying a property for $50,000. Okay? So you're buying it for $50,000 and you're selling it for $75,000. Okay? Well, ideally, when we close this deal, we don't want to put up this $50,000. We don't want to write a check for $50,000. We just want this $75,000 to fund this deal. So if you remember in the script for the title company, we're always saying, hey, will you close this transaction dry, meaning the second transaction funds the first. So that's what dry means. If they said, yes, we can do that, then you're good to go. You don't have any transactional funding costs. So in this case, basically what happens is 2 days before closing, your title company calls the cash buyer, has them wire in the money. The money's already there. Then they use that money to cover the $50,000 purchase price. They close that, and then you get the difference after they close the second transaction. So just kind of keep that in mind. One important thing to remember when you're doing a double close is that both of these transactions have to close with your title company or your attorney. If you don't have the purchase agreement set up where each closing happens at your title company where they can control the money, then this won't work, and you'd have to do it wet, which is not a good thing. That makes this whole transaction a little bit harder, and it costs a lot more money. So that's what dry is, you not putting up any money and them using the buyer's funds to close the first side. Now, if that's not a choice and you're having a hard time finding a title company that will close dry and you have to close wet, what happens is you have to go and you have to find a transactional funding company. Okay, it's called transactional funding. And what it is there's companies out there that are created that are transactional funding, and they'll say, hey, I'll put up this $50,000 for you, and I'll pay that so you don't have to pay anything. And then once I get my money back when the other side closes, then they'll give you the difference, and they're going to charge you for that. They're going to charge you, a certain percentage, whether that be, a lot of times it's 2 or 3% of that, and some of them are even less. Some of them are at 1%. But it's harder to find. So you're going to pay a significant little fee. That could be a couple, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and they're only putting the money up for, maybe a day or a few hours in some cases. So they're making a lot of money off of, putting up money with almost no risk, and it's back in their pocket. So not that, these companies are great. This keeps you from knowing that no matter what the scenario, dry or wet, you don't have to come up with any of the money. And then these guys will do that. So just keep that in mind. You want to try to do it dry. If you can't, you have to get in touch with a transactional funding company. Luckily, we've set that up for you. So what I want you to do, so that's how this whole thing closes out and you get paid. This is an exciting time. You've done all this work, it's led up to this, and now you're making a big chunk of money. So what I want you to do is I want you to go down and watch this video on which transactional funding company I want you guys to go with, and watch how you'll see what their fees are and how they charge you for that, and then you can be educated in case you have to use that information. Then after that concludes the wholesaling segment. We just went through step by step by step by step. You guys have everything you need to learn to go out and find buyers, find killer deals, match them up, and get paid. So congratulations, good luck to you, and we'll see you in the next segment.
This is a video on how to find a proof of funds letter using a transactional funding company. So we use besttransactionfunding.com. So if you type that in your search bar, it will bring up a page that looks like this. And then you can go down on this very first block and see proof of funds here. Click on that. Okay, now we can scroll down and see on the left-hand side of your page, free POF letter. Go ahead and click that. And it's going to bring you to a page where you enter your personal information the way you want it to appear on the letter. So go ahead and type in your name and the rest of the information. Okay, property info type. So it will let you choose if it's a residential or commercial property. So go ahead and whatever your property is, make sure you choose that. If it's commercial, go ahead and change it. Property address. This is where you can put in the address of the property that you're looking to make the offer on, okay? All right, after you finish filling in that information, scroll down to your offer amount. So if you're making an offer on this property for $60,000, you're going to put in $60,000 here. If it's $150,000, go ahead and put that in. Whatever the offer amount is on the property, that's what you want to put here. Okay? And then your letter type. You can choose to leave it as company and name, or if you want to put it in your company name only, if that's what you're purchasing in, you can change it here. Or if it's being purchased in your personal name, you can change that here as well. I'm going to select company name only. And then scroll down and you have to choose that you have read and accepted the disclosures before you can submit. So after you do that, click Submit, and it's going to bring you to the page here that tells you your information was received. So it takes about 5 or 10 minutes to actually get the email from the company, in which case you will open it and see there's an attachment with your proof of funds letter. If you don't see it within 5 or 10 minutes, check your spam folder. And then if you still don't receive it, go ahead and resubmit. Okay, and then when you go to your email and you actually do get the email from the company, this is what it looks like right here. All right, so here you'll see this is the name of the property that we're making an offer on. And then our company name or your personal name will appear here in the email, as well as the purchase price of the house here. Okay, and then they do give you the funding department information in case the realtor or the bank or anyone wants to contact them as well. And that is how to get a proof of funds letter to submit with your offers.